Yashwant Deshmukh, since your poll before the election suggested that the Trinamool was leading, is there anything that you've seen in these 3 rounds that leads you to believe it's a much tighter contest? What trends are you picking up from what the voters so far indicate?
Well, Rajdeep, I am privy to the exit poll and post-poll data, so I am not at liberty at discussing the exact trends. But yes, the trends, the turnout has been quite encouraging, and we have been discussing a lot about the turnout factors, that the relative turnout, if they go up, whether it should be treated as an anti-incumbency sentiment or a pro-incumbency sentiment. And as Dr. Sanjay Kumar and other colleagues will let you know, that probably there is no direct correlation these days of a higher or lower turnout as such to read if that is ending up in a pro or anti-incumbent turnout. Generally speaking, as a generic rule, people say that if it is a higher turnout, that it ends up in having an anti-incumbent verdict, but there have been aberrations.
I know that you can't tell us what your exit poll and post poll is showing so far, but given that there has been a high voter turnout, a large woman turnout, I read out various X factors. Is this woman factor an X factor for you in this election or not?
Well, woman factor was the one of the X factor that we pointed out in Bihar elections, for sure. And it is certainly not just in Bengal, but also in other states, Kerala, or for that matter Tamil Nadu, or even in Assam. It is an X factor, and we still need to figure out. I haven't seen a clear indication from Election Commission if the women have actually outnumbered males, just like in Bihar.
Right.
And that could be an X factor for sure. I totally agree.
I know Yashwant is holding his cards close to his chest and not revealing whether the trends are matching what his opinion poll said before the elections. Remember, he predicted that the Trinamool would get between 150 to 160 seats of the 294. Sanjay Kumar, your sense from what you've seen, and again in your case you haven't done a survey at the moment, but what's your sense from Bengal? What's that X factor that is turning out to be critical so far?
My own sense is that the 2 X factor, one is the Muslim vote and the second X factor is the women vote. Muslims are in sizable number in West Bengal, approximately 27 to 88% of the total electorate, and in the past election they have always voted in large numbers for Trinamool Congress. If the vote of Muslims still remains intact with Trinamool Congress, that will give an advantage to Trinamool Congress. But they would also need to keep the advantage which they have among the women voters. Only turnout doesn't matter. Yes, turnout of women voters seems to be high. We have not got any figures from Election Commission, but the images which we got from the ground indicated that at least in the 3rd phase of election, there were long queues of women voters in many polling stations. But in the past election, 2011-2016 assembly election, Trinamool Congress had a huge edge among women voters. And when I say huge edge, it is in the range of 8 to 9%. If Trinamool Congress is able to maintain that lead, I think Trinamool Congress is going to be victorious in the 3rd election, and they will form the government after 2nd of May. If Trinamool Congress is not able to maintain the lead among the Muslims and even among the women, then Trinamool is heading for a big defeat.